Imagine you're Disney. You've nearly spent $250 million in making and marketing this film. You've netted $1.85 billion, a whole 7x return. But even after all of that, you're only at the second spot globally. Apparently, there is a Chinese movie. It made $2.2 billion, but it was made in just $18 million. That's a total of 26.5x return. That doesn't make any sense. You know the numbers, you had kept the cost down. In fact, your costs were so low that they were the same as when you had made the original despite a decade of inflation. But you are Disney, father of modern animation. How can someone be more cost efficient than you? You have literally been dominating the animation industry for over 100 years. To understand, we will first have to understand that animation, although is one of the most liberal art forms, it is also unfortunately the hardest to get into. Think about it. In live action, you are constrained by gravity, the weather, the physical limits of an actor, but in animation, that's not the case. If you want a character to be made out of completely water, that's possible, but you will have to build everything from scratch. And I mean everything from scratch. Stuff? Well, you haven't even heard the verse. Well, first, you will need someone super smart to come up with it. And then you will actually need to run this math as simulation when you render this animation. And for that, you need massive amount of compute. You would have heard of these big companies having massive render farms. This is essentially what they're used for. For Wade, Pixar, when they ran renders, it came out at 1,000 hours per frame. Most studios would have fired the researcher whose math takes 1,000 hours to render per frame. Disney and Pixar, just because the sheer scale they are at, can absorb this cost. Once they prove it's good, they can spend the next 3 to 4 years in R&D to make that same math run 100 times faster. So look at the length these companies are ready to go to. There is no way you can compete with them. Animation, which is technically the most liberal art form, you can basically do anything you want in animation. It is also the hardest to get into. You literally can't do it unless you have that level of compute. And this is why Pixar is the only animation studio that has won Academy Award of Merit for a software. Since 1995 to 2025, Pixar specifically has won over 20 SciTech Awards and Disney has won another 15 SciTech Awards. Both of these companies are partners, by the way. If you look at the awards for rendering and animation software since the 90s, Disney and Pixar related tech accounts for roughly 30% of all winners. This is by far the highest concentration of this technical gold. But what if this compute was given as an infrastructure? When I saw Neja 1, I saw a small instance of those old bootleg Chinese animated movies, but every now and then the movie would take a complete flip and wow me with its production quality. It was a very weird contrast, and Neja 2, by the way, just took the production quality to the next level. For example, look at this dragon and those scales. That apparently required 12 layers of material rendering with a peak computing power of 3 quintillion operations per second and the data volume of a single frame reaching 800 gigabytes. I don't even know what that means. And I understand why these kind of movies are going all out with the special effects as well. From what I was able to research, apparently the Chinese go crazy over epic scenes in movies, much like how we love our action in the South. And Neja 2 delivered. And that's what's weird. How could they do all of this but still undercut Disney? It's next to impossible to do this level of work, not because we do not possess the artistry or the culture, but it's literally a resource problem. Let me help you put that into perspective. This right here is my own personal PC. It has a Ryzen 9 9900X, a 5090, 120 gigs of DDR5 RAM. This is a state-of-the-art PC. But if I were to render Neja 2 on this PC, it would take me 600 years. But the studio behind Neja was able to render their entire movie in just a couple of months by tapping into their own national supercomputing center. China, in fact, has built out this compute so fast that they have reached something known as the utilization gap. Because they have built out more compute than their local industries need, and because a server has a lot of fixed costs like land, cooling, and hardware that depreciates every 3 to 5 years, an idle server is a total loss. loss. So the Chinese government provides subsidies, massive subsidies to cultural exports. Basically, movies like Ne Zha 2. And this is how they were able to undercut Disney. But then again, why is Chinese government doing all of this? America has always known the power of storytelling. Even when aliens land, they land on America, and even when they do, the message is clear. America wins. If I can create this kind of association with America, it is very easy for me to extend that association towards American products. Now, the reason I'm telling you this story is so that you realize just how seriously these countries take their own story and how carefully they're designing it. If you as an individual do not have the ability to control your own story, control your own narrative, then the general public will come and assign you a role, assign you a story that they believe to be true. Xia and Shanxia, the mixture of our old Chinese kung fu movies that we used to watch with modern supernatural flair to it. Ne Zha 2 fighting is very anime-like, but it's just not anime. It's like Xia and Shanxia. In old Chinese murals, artists wouldn't shy away from making their character completely deformed. There would be curves everywhere, and this is something that you can notice in the Ne Zha 2 movie. The exaggerated clouds, the colors, the mountains, all of this is literally old Chinese paintings coming to life. In my research, ink wash rendering engine came up a lot. It was basically a rendering engine that allowed the team to simulate ink wash paintings from old China in 3D space. This is not unheard of. Sony had developed a new underlying technology for Spider-Verse. Pixar literally keeps on doing with every single movie. So look at the amount of deliberate decisions it has taken to make this movie authentically Chinese. Now, was this done to appease the Chinese audience, or was this done to reclaim the Chinese story? That conclusion I leave up to you. But almost 10 years ago, I don't think anybody could imagine US facing serious competition on the global storytelling stage. But